Good morning. I've been asked some questions about how I raise bees and what I do and why I got into it. And I'd just like to explain my two hives that I've got in my yard. And also I keep a side hive as a attractant. When they get into the mood of swarming, I give them. And my chickens have arrived because they're always a little curious. I've got Seagull over here. Seagull is a Delaware. And I have a Maracuna, this is Hawk, and then Raven, she's an Australorp, and Granite is a French Marron. I've raised them since chicks, so they're very accustomed to me. They're the best pets I've got. And so they come over here and scratch up into the dirt that I've raised along the way. Let me talk about my hives. You've seen in some of my other videos, I keep a fountain here that keeps them water during the summer all the time. I use distilled water in it. They're probably not particular, but I'm a little particular about what I give them. This hive is an 8-frame hive. It consists of 2 deep boxes. I just have removed the upper shallow that I had 8 frames in and took 8 frames of honey. You'll see on top of it a water reed cover that I just used to keep the sun off of it, and today's a really rainy day. Also keeps the entrance from being rained on hard. But above it, a canopy of pomegranates. This is a sweet lime that's growing next to it. It's giving some of its fruit. It's, been struggling a little bit. I had a gopher, and some of the pomegranates on the ground that I had cut away from the front of the hive. The pomegranates have been there for a number of years and are pretty abundant. They are enclosed in a block wall enclosure that we put in, and next to it is a pink guava. And you may have heard the chimes in some of my videos, and these are the chimes. I love them. They're just a deep gong, and it goes with my Zen lifestyle. But let me further explain the hives. This one here is a 10-frame Longstrom hive with a shallow on top, and it's doing very well. It's entirely full, and the bees are just having a nice fall day. They've been coming and going. Currently I'm giving them some sugar water. I just came off of 95-97 degree days, and it just surprised me that we got this summer thunderstorm. What it feels like. It's very moist outside. So the temperature today is about 76 degrees. It cooled down very rapidly. The bees are just enjoying some palm pollen that they've got out, and so just keep them busy, keep them active. Let me explain a little bit about the hives themselves. On the base of my hives, I have bricks. They're 12 by 12, and I have several layers. I put the blocks on top of that, and the reason I do this, and you might see the white powder today, it's a little washed off, but usually I have diatomaceous earth that is down on the bottom, and it keeps the very, very active Argentine ants away. The Argentine ants here, they're just incredible, and they'll get up into the hive and bother the bees, and sometimes you'll have bees abscond just for that reason. I have neighbors just over the wall, so that's why I keep a lot of ground cover, keep them, and you'll probably hear the traffic. I have a main street, and luckily I have palms everywhere. Everywhere around here, palms and pine trees and such like that. The bees are very, very good at gathering them up on my own property. I have some giant palms, and they fly up there, and you can probably see some of the palm fronds. It's a little darkish today, as I see, but they keep very busy, and I climb up there and cut the fronds after they've stripped it of all its pollen. They go to seeds, and the seeds drop all over the yard, and they make these tiny little palms that people pay big money for. To me, they look like a weed. And it's a enjoyable experience. So the bees have a nice flight. They climb over the home, and they do their thing. For the most part, I treat them like pets. I have 2 pets. That's 8-frame and 10-frame. That's their names. And usually distinguishable. Let me get a little close-up on these girls. And as you see, they're dropping. I see somebody's taking a cap off, so jumping it off the side. And you might see a couple coming in with palm pollen. It's white. Just doing their thing. I can sit here. I have a bench that I have right in front, and this bench, I often sit here in the middle and just sit here for hours and just watch them and their behavior. Now, one of the things you might notice is this right here. Recently, they've been getting rid of all their drones, and so they've been having their kill off and such like that. The workers drag the drones out, and there's lots of drones in there. This hive was just a drone producer this year. As you see, I've got an excluder here, so my honey that's it's entirely filled. So it's just a kind of a very interesting thing that the bees have just decided to go ahead, and they felt the coldness of the nights and such like that, so they decided to get rid of their drones. This one, on the other hand, 8-frame, she doesn't do much drone producing, but a lot of things that people don't realize is that drones have a area of about 80 meters that they hover around. So these two, maybe one senses the other and doesn't produce as many drones. I didn't see many queen cells, but full of bees nonetheless. I keep some of my supplies, like my diatomaceous earth, beneath them, and this kind of keeps them dry and such handy. And on this side, a brush that I take and brush against the bowl so that it can spread evenly like a dust-like powder. So on this right here, since they often drop out, I've put the bowl there in the bottom, and they fall in and they can fly right out. Not having such a problem on the 8-frame, it's never been a problem or an issue. So I mean, I lose an occasional bee that falls off the edge, but they've got a different slope on the front, and so that may be the difference. They have a little bit of tumble time and take flight. On this right here, they drop straight off and right into the pot. But it's nonetheless. Let's see, I got some guavas that are coming out, and they're very, very fragrant. And I love this tree. Over the years that I've had it, I've pruned it back a little bit, trying to arch it up a slight bit, and makes a nice cover for the bees. And behind them, a hedgerow, and I've let it grow just to enormous size. In the springtime, it's just full of pollen, and the bees enjoy it. They fly right up there close to home, and assortment of other bees from the local area. You'll probably see with the largest cactus that you've ever seen. It is a prickly pear, and I think I still got probably what we call tunas, and they're fruit. If you let them bloom, they bloom out. They turn into a pink fruit, and they're sweet. They're kind of a flavor to them that's unique, all their own, and it's tiny seeds that are completely edible. So I get up there on the ladder and I cut them, but on the other side they're ground level, so it's just as good. So that's a little bit of a tour of my bees. And if you've got any questions or anything regarding beekeeping, I've been around for about 30 years in it. I have some friends in Mexico that have about 6,500 hives, and it's been fun. Here in San Bernardino County, there is a restriction on how you can keep the bees, the distances, etc., which is probably the most archaic thing I've ever seen. And I plan on changing that up a little bit, and soliciting the cities to help join into something a little bit better. These bees have existed here for about 5 years with no problems, and you just have to keep them. A good beekeeper knows how to maintain his bees, keep them in the right kind of order, keep them happy, don't bother them, let them ride. Okay? So thank you very much, and look forward to talking with you again.